I take pleasure in inviting Sir Andrew Fleming to say a few words to us.
Sapaku namaskaramu. It's an honor indeed to be among you all and to be asked to join this event along such a renowned group of experts who are here on the dais with me. I'm not an expert on much of the detail discussed today, but I'm certainly clear of the significant barrier, the lack of awareness of health and hygiene, and a lack of necessary facilities and resources presents to the many women in meeting their full potential. So the vision of Dr. Lakshmi and work of Whhee is very important, and I'm delighted by both the ambition of their initiative and its scale, as is indeed evident by the number of young women in this hall this morning. You will all know, I hope, that India is a member of the Commonwealth. So do you? Anybody who wants to admit they didn't? You see, I've beaten you. You had one hand up, I have none. That's good. And I hope you've all downloaded my sister Swati's app already. I think she's absolutely right that Hawkeye is a brilliant app, and as ever, Hyderabad is a city of innovation, and this is one of the many ways in which you can keep yourself safe. So please, please, if there's one thing you do today, do download that app onto your smartphone. As I was saying, the Commonwealth. Last year, Prime Minister Modi travelled to the UK and attended CHOGM. CHOGM stands for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, and this takes place every 2 years. And in the discussions every 2 years, there's some themes that are focused on, that are chosen and endorsed by the participants. So say it was in London this time, and I think 45 out of 53 heads of government actually travelled to London. So that's the importance of that meeting. And they discussed and they agreed what the themes would be for the next 2 years. And the priority agreed by all presidents, including Mr. Modi, was that the focus should be on 12 years education for all. And of course, again, drawing on the previous speech, that's boys and girls. And there are many barriers to education for both. 12 years quality education as a minimum. That doesn't take into account further education, first degrees, masters. Obviously the aspiration is more and more will also access these, and we are seeing more and more first generation women and girls going on to ever higher education here in India, which I think is a wonderful thing. But for many, many children, sadly, we know that education is still a dream. And perhaps for girls more than boys, this is the reality. It's often the case that if in the face of financial hardship in a family, it's the girl that's withdrawn from education before the boy. And then it's also the case that, as has been discussed already by Dr. Lakshmi in her opening comments, the lack of toilet facilities is a big challenge, particularly at the time of the onset of menstruation. And I know I know from my time in Nigeria, which is the country I served before I came here, another Commonwealth country, and I know from my time here in India that there is a huge problem with the lack of toilet facilities, and at best, this can mean that for the girl child, it means they're not in school for 2 or 3 days every month, which has a cumulatively negative effect. But for many, it can be the catalyst to dropping out of education altogether. And this is one of the things that the heads of governments at the Commonwealth recognised and made a pact that they would be working on to try to address in a concerted way over the next few years. My government has committed a lot of money, as have other governments from the Western and more wealthy countries, to try to address this and many of the other barriers that face young women and young men in completing the basic 12 years of school education. I think that's one really important thing that happens. Obviously, then you go on to further education, as all of you are doing. Then there are issues of safety and awareness, which my sister has already covered, so I will not repeat. But again, I hear it 7 times. You have to say something for it to actually happen. So download the app. Yeah, that's 3 times now. And after you've downloaded the app, sensible, follow the very shrewd advice my sister gave. Do look after your health. Regular visits to the doctors. I was nagging my wife the other day because she's terrible. She never goes to the doctor. It's actually men who have the worst reputation for not going to doctors in my country. But I'm afraid that for ladies also it's not as much as it should be. And have the necessary checks that need to take place. And that's something that you should get into a habit of doing throughout your life. It's really, really important. Awareness of cancers, and unfortunately cancers are becoming more and more prevalent for different reasons. But also the technology to detect them and detect them early are there. I mean, we all know about breast cancer. There's been a lot of work to raise awareness in this organisation. The last big event it did focused specifically on breast cancer. If you recognise that early, and it's the major issue after you reach the age of 40 plus, you should be going every year for a screening, a mammogram. You can actually have the cancer dealt with in a very effective way and without any kind of major invasive surgery. So this is the importance of regular tests for that, for cervical cancer, for all other kinds of tests. It's really, really important that you have that relationship with a doctor, and finding a medical practitioner that you trust and you feel safe with is something that's really important. I know for me, I traipsed around different doctors for some time before I settled on one that I actually felt comfortable. And maybe that's part of the problem for my wife, who's had to follow me around the world since we married 15 years ago, that she's never managed to get to that point. But I say that you should invest that time in yourself because you're worth it. And women in the workplace, women in business, women in government, women in politics, the impact they have is huge. The opening question from Dr. Lakshmi, why educate a woman? Educate a woman because if you educate a woman, you educate a family, you educate a community, you educate so much more than just that one woman. It's really powerful. Actually, it's the thing that is ultimately going to transform India to become the superpower that it's destined to be. Education and equality of education, trying to tackle that gender gap and bring in more women into the workplace, more women into positions of leadership. And where women are on equal parity with men in leadership, in some of the biggest companies in the world, those companies have better results than the companies where men dominate the top positions. And why is that? It's very simple, because there is that broader perspective. You have the male perspective and you have the female perspective. And if you're a company that is primarily one that is a commercial company that's selling products, etc., half of your customers potentially are women. And so understanding how to attract to everybody is very helpful. And studies show the more women you have in these positions, the better. And the same applies in government. The same applies to having equity on committees. They consistently deliver stronger, better policies that meet the needs of the entire and complete population. So this is a message that I travel around and pledge to everybody that I meet. And I'm very pleased to understand that this year's cabinet, the newly re-elected government with a large mandate in the state, is going to have 2 women on the cabinet. That was announced recently. I think that's really good news. It's progress. If you ask me, I hope it's just the beginning and that there'll be more women coming into more important political positions. My own government in the UK, we don't have anywhere near as many women as I believe we should have in politics. We have to find ways to understand how to encourage. And why am I saying all this in the context of this? Is because when you have the women there, the advocacy of groups like Whhee will find supporters in positions that can really empower, really make a difference, and really try to ensure that they help drive through the policies and aspirations that are desired. I've been very impressed with Kavita Rao ma'am, the MP for Nizamabad. We've worked together on some other empowerment initiatives before, and she's a very passionate advocate of women's issues and the girl child. I hope we can do more together, but I hope we'll find other sisters to work alongside with us brothers, including brothers sitting here on the top table, that recognise the need for gender equity. So I'm very pleased by the theme for Women's Day this year, next Friday. I'm dedicating much of my week to celebrating Women's Day in different ways. I shall be on a beach in Vizag at 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday at an event by Andhra Pradesh NGO called Yes We Can. On Thursday, I shall be hosting 100 or more women at a reception to celebrate achievements that we've delivered together on many areas, including women in health, women in education, women in workplace. And on Friday, the most exciting thing is I shall be standing aside from my job and allowing a young woman to take the place. This young woman, her name is Nenonika. She works for an organisation called Voice for Girls. And Voice for Girls is, for me, one of the champions of trying to engage young girls pre-puberty about the change of life that they're going to expect over those few years, about the ambition that they should have for themselves, about how to negotiate with their parents over going out time with friends, not being forced into an early marriage, and being able to realise their dreams. It's a very powerful organisation, one that's touched my heart since I came to India 18 months ago. So I'm very proud that this young woman from that organisation is going to take my job on Women's Day and be the Deputy High Commissioner to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana for the day, and be given a platform in many different situations to speak and give the voice of a young woman with a dream for a better India tomorrow. Thank you very much.
హాయ్ అండి, నేను మీ జబర్దస్త్ ఆటోపంచ్ రాంప్రసాద్.
నేను మీ వరలక్ష్మి.
హలో అండి, నేను మీ సుడిగాలి సుధీర్.
హాయ్ హలో, నేను మీ కామెడియన్ కుమార్ స్వామిని.
హలో, నేను మీ జబర్దస్త్ ముక్కా వినాష్.
హలో అండి, నేను మీ చిత్రలేఖ. హాయ్,
నేను మీ మచ్చి మాధవి.
నా పేరు తడివేలు. ప్లీజ్ సబ్స్క్రైబ్ టు పబ్లిక్ టాక్ టీవీ.
ప్లీజ్ సబ్స్క్రైబ్ పబ్లిక్ టాక్ టీవీ.
Please subscribe Public Talk TV.
Please subscribe to Public Talk TV.
Please subscribe Public Talk TV.
Please subscribe to Public Talk TV.
Please subscribe to Public Talk TV.